Why do some modern filmmakers still want to shoot in black and white? There is no one reason why modern filmmakers want to shoot in black and white. Each reason is personal to each filmmaker. But to dig a little bit deeper, I've done some research and read some in-depth interviews with some of those modern filmmakers who have shot films in black and white, and here are their reasons. In an interview with the cinematographer of Robert Eggers' Eggers'? Is that the best way of saying it? In Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse, Jaron Blanche, I really am having a terrible time with names already this morning. Jaron Blanche explains that whilst the film's isolated setting and intimate characterizations go a long way towards creating this sort of claustrophobic dread, shooting in black and white also offer the idea of making it a more immersive visual experience for the viewer, photographically transporting them back to an earlier time. And that's why the black and white that's used within this film is created to look like a kind of early photographic experience. And Blanche also went out of his way to find old, almost impossible to buy film stock in order to capture some of that grainy black and white feel. Now, the reasons for shooting The Lighthouse in black and white are entirely different from the reasons that Alfonso Cuarón shot Roma in black and white. Even though Roma is set in the past and is looking back through time, Alfonso Cuarón didn't want to shoot something that looked like a classic black and white movie. He wasn't interested in those long shadows and those deep contrasts in black and whites at all.
Don't tell me it's because you've been in love with me all this time.
No, I never loved you, Walter, not you or anybody else.
What Cuarón was after was a far more naturalistic looking black and white. Cuarón wasn't looking to hide the digital elements of his film. What he wanted to do was create a new look. In fact, he wanted to embrace that digital present that we live in, but do it through the lens of black and white. And so the black and white that's on offer in this movie is far softer. It has far more variation, and that kind of makes it a more vivid experience. Speaking of vivid experiences, you've also got David Fincher's Mank. What makes Mank so special is the way that David Fincher manages to take all the elements of 1930s cinema and really try to embed them in a movie that's made in 2020. Mank is about Hollywood in the 1930s. It's about that kind of glory era of the silver screen, just when sound had become an important part of cinema. And every element of this film is construed so it feels like a work from that time. We're not just talking about the fact that it was shot in black and white here, we're talking about the fact that the sound was recorded through older speakers to give it that kind of mono feeling, even though it's still in stereo. And the immersive experience doesn't end there. There's also realistic film burns on the actual film itself, but also real change circles.
Keep your mouth shut and watch us for your cue, okay? Cue?
So every time a filmmaker decides to shoot in black and white, the reasons are often personal creative decisions that they believe are going to enhance the story they're telling to the audience they want to tell it to. And that really is the key part. If you're contemplating shooting a movie in black and white, the question you want to take time to think about is how is it going to serve your story better than shooting in colour? Black and white movies in of themselves are not more special than colour movies. They're not more classical. They're certainly not more artsy. The modern black and white movies out there that we remember, the ones that could have been in colour should the filmmakers have decided to do so, we don't remember them because they're black and white. We remember them because they're telling great stories on camera. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Yeah, Paul, but these are all multi-million-dollar movies. What relevance do they have to someone who wants to shoot something on a super low budget? Well, for the longest time, indie filmmakers had very little money and had to shoot on film, chose to shoot on black and white because it was a cheaper alternative to shooting in colour. But of the thousands, if not tens of thousands, of indie movies that were made on black and white film, the ones that we remember, for instance, The Night of the Living Dead, Eraserhead, Clerks, none of these movies have stood the test of time because they were made in black and white. They've stood the test of time because they introduced us to new and exciting ideas, characters, and ultimately great stories that stay with us. Now, if you're ready to start writing your first great script, whether that be black or white or not, I suggest you click on this video here because it's going to show you the first rule of screenwriting. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, filmmaker.